In this class, we're going to go over what is meant by compound statements, connectives, and the different symbols that are used in representing connectives. We're going to talk about contradiction and tautology, and we're going to look at work example on each of them. Okay, the big question is, what is compound statement? Compound statements are made up of substatements. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? They are made up of substatements that are joined together by a connective. You understand? In our previous class, I defined a connective as words that are used to join simple statements together. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So if you missed that class, please kindly check the description of this video and watch the class, okay? Now, when we talk about compound statement, we have two simple statements coming together, and they are now joined together by some words. Those words that join two simple statements are called connectives. Having understand what is meant by compound statement, let us look at some important example. Number one, Mark is fat and Joy is slim. Mark is fat. Listen. Compound statement. Mark is fat. Mark is fat and Joy is slim. This is the typical examples of compound statement, and the reason is because we have two statements. Mark is fat, 1, and Joy is slim is 2. The connective that is present here is and. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So this statement is a compound statement. Why? Because we have two simple statements. Mark is fat, 1, and another one, Joy is slim, 2. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Okay, let's look at another example. She is not intelligent or does not study. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? She is not intelligent. She is not intelligent. She is not intelligent or does not study. Now, listen. If I want to break this statement into two, I can write it as she is not intelligent. She does not study. Do you understand? Now, we have simple statement. She is not intelligent. Like, she is not intelligent. She is not intelligent. She does not study. She does not. Now, look at this. I break this statement. I write it as this. And this statement, I write like this. Now, the connective that is present here is what? Is or. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Now, when you have two statements combined together to form a compound statement, they are not just joined together. There must be presence of connectives, you understand? And don't forget what I defined connective as. Connectives refers to words that are used to combine two simple statements to form a compound statement. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Now, let us look at more example. Bidemi is rich, but Adeleke is poor. Bidemi is rich. Bidemi is rich, but Adeleke is poor. You can see now. So this is also another examples of compound statement, and the reason is because we have two statements, which is number one, Bidemi is rich, and Adeleke is poor. So the connective there is what? Are you get what I'm trying to say? So all these examples that you see on the board, they are compound statements. Do you understand? Okay, now having understand what is meant by compound statement, let us look at what is meant by connective. You understand? In our previous class, I told you connectives are just words. You understand? That are used to they join two simple statements together to form a compound statement. So now the connectives here is what? Is and. You understand? Because it connects Mark is fat and Joy is slim. Do you understand? The second example, the connective is what? Is or. Now it connects she is not intelligent and she does not study. Are you what I'm trying to say? So the connectives here is or. So you can see that when we talk about connectives in simple terms, they are just words that are used to connect two or more simple statements. Now, let us look at various types of connectives. Okay, we have various types of connectives. We are going to talk about number one, conjunction. 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 connectives. This is one, compound statement. Two, connectives. We have conjunction, conjunction, conjunct. Then we have another one. We have disjunction. We have disjunction. Another one we have negation. I'm just going to give you the symbols, okay? Negation. We have implication. Implication. Let me have another one. After implication, we have by implication. This implication is also known as conditional. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Conditional. Conditional. And another one we have by implication. By implication. And it can also be written as bi-conditional. You understand? Bi-conditional. Okay? So, and the last one we can have equivalence. Like equivalence. Equivalence. Now, these are the connectives that we have, and these connectives that you see here, they have symbols that is used that we use to represent them. Okay, we have symbols to represent them. Conjunction is represented by this symbol. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? And the name of these symbols is and. Are you getting it? And the name of these symbols is and. So when you have the name of these symbols is and, when you have compound statements joined together by and, like if you have two simple statements joined together by and, or this sign means and. Do you understand? Okay, now disjunction is this. The sign to represent disjunction is this. So when you have two simple statements joined together to form a compound statement using this sign, you should know that it is disjunction, and the name of this is or. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Okay, let's move to the second. Okay, negation. Negation is just a symbol. Negation means the opposite of the truth value of a statement. I've already explained this in our previous class. Okay, so if you missed the class, kindly check the description of this video or the first comment. Click on that link there to watch the class. Okay, now this sign, this one that you see here is negation. Negation is represented by this sign. Okay, negation is represented by this sign, which is the opposite of the truth value of a statement. Now we have the implication. Implication is also known as conditional. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? In implication, one statement depends on the other. You understand? You know, I told you when we're talking about compound statements, we have two statements coming together to form a compound statement, right? Now, in implication, in implicative statement, one statement depends on the other. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Like if one is, don't worry, when we get there, I'm going to emphasize on it, okay? I'm just giving you the symbols of the connective now, so just pay attention, okay? So implication, we have the sign that is used to represent it is this sign. That is, one statement depends on the other. So, and the meaning of this is if. The meaning of this is if. Now, by implication is represented by this sign. That is, now don't worry, okay, just pay attention. When I'm still going to talk about each of them. Do you understand? I'm just giving you this so as to help you to understand the basic concept. Okay, now we have the last one, equivalence. Equivalence means equivalence is just put is. It's represented by this sign. Equivalent, just put an equal to sign, then, and the meaning of this sign is is. Are you guys trying to say? Now the meaning of this sign is if and only if. If and only if. And this one is if or implies. Are you guys trying to say? Implies. So you can see, let me tell you, all these ones that I wrote here, we are going to go over it one by one. So let's start with conjunction, okay? Conjunction. Let's start with conjunction. Don't forget, I told you conjunction is represented by this sign and it means and. Do you understand? And. Now, what exactly do you mean by conjunction? Like, when you hear the word conjunction, what can you say about it? Conjunction refers to a compound statement that is formed by joining simple statement by hand. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? That is, we have a compound statement that we can call conjunction if what connects the simple statement that form the compound statement is and. Are you getting it? Let me explain again. We can call a compound statement conjunction, or we have conjunction compound statement if we have two simple statements coming together by being connected by this word and. Are you get what I'm trying to say? So anytime you have a statement connected, anytime you have two simple statements connected by the word and, the name of that compound statement is conjunction. Are you get what I'm trying to say? Okay, now let's look at some few examples here. Let's say P represents John is tall and Q represents John is handsome. Look at these two statements. P represents John is tall and Q represents John is handsome. Now, I want to combine, I'm very sure you are aware that both of them are statements, you understand? They are stated because they can be argued out. They can be used in logical context. Now, we have P represents John is tall and Q represents John is handsome. Now, let us combine the two simple statements using conjunction. That is what? P conjunction Q, right? Do you know the meaning? P conjunction Q. P conjunction Q means John is tall. John is tall. Now, instead of John is handsome, now I'm going to write and, because now this word stands for hand. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? John is tall, which is the first statement, and handsome. And handsome. So you can see that conjunction is just a connective that connects two simple statements using and. So the conjunction here works as and. Do you understand? Okay, that is the first example. Let's look at more example. Let's say Nigeria. Let's say another statement. Let's say X represents Nigeria. Nigeria is in Africa, and Y represents 8 is an even number. If you want to write X conjunction Y, that will be what? Nigeria is in Africa. Nigeria is in Africa, which is true, and 8, okay, let me write it, and 8 is an even number. Okay, you can see that by joining two statements together using this word and, we are talking about conjunction. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Because you can be given an exam that identifies the connective that is present in this compound statement. Okay, so please kindly pay attention. Okay, so this is I just give you two examples on it now. So now, having understand the meaning of connectives, how do we want to talk about the truth value? I mean, the truth table of connectives. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Listen, it's simple. I told you that truth table is just a table that is used to represent the relationship that exists between the truth value of the statement that you are given. Okay, so we want to talk about truth table now. We want to talk about truth table for conjunction. That is, when we have a compound statement that is called that involve conjunction, how will the truth table look like? So we want to talk about this. Just pay attention. It's simple. Okay, now I want you to look at the statements that you have on your screen. The first statement is this: Nigeria is an African and 7 is an even number. Look at that statement. Nigeria is in Africa and 7 is an even number. Now, the first statement. Let A, please listen to me. Let K represent Nigeria. Nigeria is in Africa. Nigeria is in Africa. And let us represent L as for the first statement, and as 7 is an even number. 7 is an even number. Okay, please, you see, listen to me. I want to help you to understand how this table works for conjunction. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Don't forget, we are looking at the truth table for conjunction. So I want to give you some important statement, and we are going to use that statement to construct the table for conjunction. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? To construct the truth table for conjunction. Okay, now we have the first statement. K represents Nigeria is in Africa, and L represents 7 is an even number. Okay, let us look at the second statement, statement B. The second statement, statement B. Nigeria is in Asia and 7 is an odd number. Nigeria is in Asia. B. Nigeria. K represents Nigeria is in Asia. Nigeria is in Asia. And let us represent L as the second statement. And 7 is an even number. And 7, Nigeria is in Asia, and 7 is an odd number. Sorry. And 7 is an odd number. Okay, now let's look at the third statement, statement C. We have Nigeria is in Africa and 7 is an odd number. Nigeria is in Africa and 7 is an odd number. Nigeria, K represents Nigeria is in Africa, and L represents 7 is an odd number. Then let's look at the last statement, which is statement D. Nigeria is in Asia and 7 is an even number. That is statement D. Nigeria is in Asia and 7 is an. Nigeria is in Asia. Okay, K represents Nigeria is in Asia. Sorry. K represents Nigeria is in Asia, and L represents 7 is an even number. 7 is an even number. Okay, now look at this. We have the following statement on the board. In this, please pay attention. Don't forget, I defined truth table as a table that shows the relationship that exists between the truth value of a statement. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Now, because in conjunction we are dealing with compound statements, so we are looking at the relationship that exists between the truth value of a statement that formed a compound statement. That is conjunction. You know, conjunction connect two simple statements to form a compound statement. So each of these statements are compound statements. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Now, let us try to represent the truth value of each of these statements on this table. So we have the first symbol K, the second symbol L. Are you there? K, L. Now, for the first one, which is A, we want to look at it now. Nigeria is in Africa. What is the truth value of that statement? Don't forget, I told you in the previous class that truth value reveals the identity of a statement. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? It tells us as to whether a statement is true or false. Do you understand? Now, look at the first sentence. The first statement here. Nigeria is in Africa. Is Nigeria in Africa or is not in Africa? Yes, Nigeria is in Africa. So the truth value of this statement is what? Is true. And I told you that when a statement is true, we represent it as what? As T, capital letter T. Do you understand? So for this, I'm going to have capital letter T. Do you understand? That is, K is true for the first statement. Now, I'm dealing with the first compound statement, which is this. Nigeria is in Africa. That means that K is true. Now, let us look at L. L is the second part of the first statement. Second part is what? 7 is an even number. Okay? Now, look at this. Is 7 an even number or not? Okay, 7 is not an even number, 7 is an odd number. So that means that the truth value of the second statement is what? Is false. Are you getting it? Because 7 is not an even number, it is an odd number. So we're going to have F here. Are you getting it? For the first statement, statement A, Nigeria is in Africa, that is true. The truth value is T. Now, L, 7 is an even number. The truth value is false because 7 is not an even number, it is an odd number. Do you understand? Okay? Now, for the first statement, listen to me. For the first statement, K conjunction L. K conjunction L means Nigeria is in African and 7 is an even number. I just combine both statements using and. Do you understand? As I told you earlier, that in conjunction, we are combining two simple statements by these symbols. Are you getting it? These symbols means and. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So, K conjunction L means Nigeria is in Africa and 7 is an even number. Now, what will be the conclusion of this? Will it be true or false? That's where I'm going. Like when we have two statements combined together by a conjunction in which one of them, the first part of the statement is true and the second part is false, what will be the conclusion? Are we going to have true or false in this place, or we are going to have are we going to have true T in this place or false? That's what I want to explain to you. Now look, anytime you have simple statements combined together by this conjunction and, by these connectives and, if the first part of the statement is true while the second part is false, the conclusion will be true. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Because the first part is true. You can see Nigeria is in Africa, so the first part is true even though the second part is not true. So the conclusion will be what? Will be true. That is, you are going to have T here. Do you understand? Listen to me. You have to know. You have to be able to you have to understand the truth table of each of the connectives. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So as to, because when we get to tautology and contradiction, you are going to discover that we're going to be using many tables. So I want you to understand, okay? So listen. When you have T first, like when the first statement is true and the second statement is false, the conjunction of both statements will be what? Will be true. Okay? Now let's look at the second statement. We have statement this. We are here now. B. Now K here. K is this. Nigeria is in Asia. Nigeria is in Asia. Now, what is the truth value of this statement? I told you, truth value reveals the identity of a statement, right? It tells whether the statement is true or not. Now, Nigeria is in Asia. What is the truth value? Is the statement true or not? It is false. The statement is not true because Nigeria is an African country. Okay, so the statement here, K here will be what? Will be false. Do you understand? Now let us look at the second part of the statement L. 7 is an odd number. Indeed, 7 is an odd number. So the statement here is true. Now what will be the conjunction? If the conjunction now will be what? K conjunction L, which is Nigeria is in Asia and 7 is an odd number. Okay? What will be the conclusion of both statements? Like, what would be the conclusion of that compound statement? Nigeria is in Asia and 7 is an odd number. Well, Nigeria is not in Asia, but 7 is an odd number. So because 7 is an odd number, that means that the conclusion will also be true. Are you getting it? The conclusion will be true. The reason what makes the conclusion true is because one of the statements is true. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So when you have a compound statement in which one of the statements is true, that means you're going to have a conclusion that is true. Are you getting it? Now, let's look at C. Nigeria is in Africa. Nigeria is in Africa, so that will be true. Oh, let me use black pen, okay? Let's use black pen. Nigeria is in Africa, that is true. 7 is an odd number, that is also true. So, in this case, both statements are true. And I'm now in number C, okay? I'm in C. Nigeria is in Africa and 7 is an odd number. So both statements here is true. So the conclusion also will be what? Will be true. Now we have the last statement. Nigeria is in Asia. Nigeria is in Asia. Nigeria is not in Asia. So I'm going to have false. 7 is an even number. That is also false. So you can see that both statements here are false. So the conclusion of this statement will be what? Will be false. Now, the summary of what I'm saying is that when you have a compound statement connected together by a conjunction, if the first part of the second statement of the compound statement is true and the second part is false, the conclusion will be true. Are you there? Now, eventually, if the first part of the compound statement appears to be false and the second part appears to be true, the conclusion will be true. Okay? Now, if both statements are true, that means that the conclusion will be true. Now, if both statements are false, the conclusion will be what? Will be false. Are you getting it? So just note it like this. In conjunction, the truth table for conjunction, if one of the statements is false and one is true, I'm going to have true. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? And if both statements are true, I'm going to have true as the conclusion. The only reason when I can have a conclusion that is false is when both statements are false. Kindly note that, okay? So this table that you see here is the truth table for conjunction. Are you getting it? This is the truth table for conjunction. Now, having understand what is meant by conjunction and the truth table, let us move to the second connectives known as disjunction. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Disjunction. You can, okay, let me just write it out. Disjunction. Okay, we have disjunction. Disjunction is a connectives. Okay, let me use it. The sign is, don't forget, the sign is this, and the meaning of the sign is or. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Now, when we have a compound statement that is formed by joining two simple statements together by these connectives, or the words or, that compound statement is called disjunction. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Listen to me, it's simple. When you have a compound statement joined together by the word or, we are talking about the disjunction. Now, having understand what is meant by disjunction, let us look at example. Let's say P represents, please listen, P represents pastor preach. Pastor preach. Are you there? And another statement Q represents pastor pray. Are you there? Now, P disjunction Q, listen. P disjunction Q, I can write it as P disjunction Q. The meaning of that statement is that pastor preach, or pray. Do you understand? Okay, now the connective here is or, and the or, listen to me. In disjunction, you can have inclusive and exclusive. Are you getting it? You can have inclusive and exclusive. I'm going to explain, just pay attention. When I give another example, I'm going to explain, okay? What I mean by inclusive disjunction and exclusive disjunction. Now look at this. P represents pastor preach and Q represents pastor pray. Look at the P disjunction Q. P disjunction Q is what? Pastor preach or pray. This is the first example. Now let us look at the second example. Let P represent it is cold. Okay, it is cold. C-O-L-D. And let Q represent it is raining. Okay, in this case, listen to me. In this case, P disjunction Q is what? It is cold or it is raining. I get what I'm trying to say. It is cold. It is cold. It is cold or raining. Now, listen to me carefully. These two examples, if you look at the word that combine both statements, look at this. Let's start with the first one. P conjunction Q. The way or is used in this statement is an exclusive one. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Exclusive, listen to me. We have exclusive disjunction when we have an event, two statements, are you getting what I'm trying to say, that cannot happen at the same time. Are you there? In this statement, pastor preach, pastor pray, which is the second part. The first part is what? Pastor preach, pastor pray. It is not possible for both events to occur at the same time. So that means that one event has to happen before the other has. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? One event has to be paused for the other to occur. That kind of disjunction is called exclusive disjunction. Let me emphasize again. The or here is used in an exclusive sense because both events cannot happen simultaneously. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Now let us look at the second statement. You see, this example that you see here, this one, the or here is exclusive. Exclusive disjunction. I just explained the reason why it is exclusive. It is the reason is because both events cannot happen simultaneously. The first event is pastor preaching. Is it possible? I'm preaching and I'm still praying. It's not possible. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? You have to pause one for the other. Now, let's look at the second statement. P represents it is cold. Q represents it is raining. P conjunction Q is what? It is cold or raining. Now, both statements can occur simultaneously. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Of course, it is possible that there will be rain and it's possible that there will be cold. Are you getting it? So, in this case, the or is used in an inclusive sense. And the reason is because both events can occur simultaneously. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? They can happen at the same time. So, this one that you see here is called exclusive. Inclusive disjunction. Do you understand? Okay, now having understand what is meant by exclusive disjunction and inclusive disjunction, let us look at the truth table for each of them. Let us start with inclusive. Do you understand? Let us start with inclusive. Okay, disjunction. This is for conjunction. Let's have disjunction here. Disjunction. Okay, so let's start with the inclusive disjunction. Okay, this is the table that I'm going to use. Do you understand? Now, so as to help you to understand how this truth table is going to look like, I'm going to give you a simple definition. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? An inclusive disjunction is a type of disjunction where the conclusion is true when one or both statements are true. I'm going to explain again. Listen to me. You know, in a compound statement, we have two statements combined together by or to form the compound statement, and that kind of statement is called disjunction. Do you understand? Now, I'm emphasizing on the definition so as to help you to understand how this table is going to look like. Okay. Now, in inclusive disjunction, the conclusion, that is the result that we're going to have here, will be true if one or both statements are true. That is, one of both sub-statements that form the compound statement. If one or both of them are true, we're going to have we're going to have the conclusion that is true as P conjunction Q. P disjunction Q. Let me explain again. In inclusive disjunction, it is a type of disjunction in which we have true as the conclusion when one or both sub-statements that form the compound statement is true. Now let's start. Let's say both statements are true. Okay, let's say it is cold and it is raining. So that means that P will be true, right? And Q will also be what? Will also be true. Now the conclusion will be true because I told you that an inclusive disjunction is a type of disjunction in which we have a conclusion that is true when one or both statements that form, when one or both sub-statements that form the compound statement is true. So now, if P is true and Q is true, don't forget P is a statement and Q is also a statement. Now, when we combine both statements by this sign, or, if both statements are true, the conclusion will be true. Are you getting it? Now, if one of the statements is false, let's say P is true, it is cold, but it is not raining. And Q is false. What will be the conclusion? The conclusion will also be true because I just gave you the definition now that in inclusive disjunction, the conclusion is true when one or both statements are true. Are you getting it? So if it is cold, which is P, and the force is what? It is raining. That means that the conclusion will be true, because I told you that in inclusive disjunction we have a conclusion that is true with respect to, if both statements or one of the statements is true. So you can see that P is true here, while Q is false. Okay, let us look at the other one. Let's say P is now false and Q is true. P is false and Q is true. What will be the conclusion? The conclusion will also be true, and the reason is because from the definition I told you we have a conclusion that is true if both statement is true and or one is true. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So both statement is true here, one statement is true here, and one statement is true here. Now, what if we now have false? If both statements are false, what will be the conclusion? The conclusion will be false. Do you understand? Okay, so you can see that understanding the definition will help you to summarize and simplify the table. Are you getting it? So don't forget this definition, okay? In inclusive disjunction, we only have a conclusion that is true if one of both statements is true or both of the statement is true. That is, if both statements that form the compound statement is true or one of them is true, the conclusion will be true. But if both statements is false, the conclusion will be false. Do you understand? Okay. Now this is inclusive disjunction. Now let us move to exclusive disjunction. Exclusive disjunction. P, Q, then P, disjunction Q. Let me define exclusive disjunction. Exclusive disjunction is a kind of disjunction that we only have a conclusion that is true if only one of the statements is false. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Listen to me. We only have a conclusion that is true if one of the statements is false. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? That is, both statements cannot be true and both statements cannot be false. Do you understand what I'm saying? Listen to me. For example, let's say P, pastor preach, Q, pastor pray. It is not possible for both to occur together. You see, in logic, we are dealing with reasoning. Pastor preach. Let's say that pastor preach, T. Let's say pastor preach. It is true. Pastor pray. We also have true. Is it possible for both events to occur at the same time? It is not possible. So the conclusion will be false. Do you understand? Okay, the conclusion will be false because you have to leave one for the other. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Another one is this. Let's now say that pastor preach, but pastor is not praying at that particular time. That means that the conclusion will be true. The reason is because it is possible. Are you getting it? So when you are looking at the conclusion, it is important that you pay attention to the truth value of both statements. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? In an exclusive sense, it's not possible for both statements to be true. Are you getting it? It's just as if you that you are watching me right now, is it possible for you to sleep in two rooms at the same time? It's not possible. It's not possible for you to sleep at two buildings in two buildings at the same time. It's not possible. Are you getting it? So that's it. The events cannot occur simultaneously. So both cannot be true. The conclusion will be false. Are you getting it? It's not possible. Okay. Now let's now say that we now have false and true. Let's say pastor is not preaching, but pastor is praying. The conclusion is what? Will be true. And the reason is because it is possible for pastor not to preach and pastor is praying at that time. And another one is, what if both are now false? If both are false, the conclusion will also be false. The conclusion will be false because as a pastor, you must preach or pray. You understand? You know, in exclusive disjunction, okay, let's use this example. Let's say you are to attend, you that you are watching me, you are to attend a party and both parties are important to you. You know, it is it's not possible for you to be at the same, at both parties at the same time, you know, it's not possible. Now, you have to leave one for the other, right? Like you have to attend one. Now, will you not say because you cannot attend both parties, you're not going anywhere? It's not possible, you understand? So, because it is important to you, so you have to attend one while leaving the other. So, it's not possible for you not to attend any party. That means that if one is false, that is, you are not attending one, then you now say that you are not attending other. It's not possible. So the conclusion will be false. Are you getting it? So in exclusive sense, we are talking about a disjunction whereby the conclusion is true if one of the statements is false. Are you getting it? Because the reason is because both statements cannot occur simultaneously. Both events cannot occur simultaneously. And you can put it like this: exclusive disjunction is a type of disjunction in which one of the statements, in which the conclusion is true if only one of the statements is true. If both statements are true, we are going to have false. If both statements are false, we are going to have false. But if one of the statements is true, we are going to have true. Do you understand? Okay, so that is exclusive disjunction, while this is inclusive disjunction. Now let me give you an advice. Here's my advice for you. In some cases you might not be given statements. You understand? It is from the statement that we can identify as to whether the disjunction is either inclusive or exclusive. You understand? But in some times you might not be given statements. Anytime you are given maybe a symbols, or you are given a symbols and you are asked to just draw the truth table, always draw this table, this first one, inclusive. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Listen to me. Let's say you are just asked to draw this thing. Let's say you are asked to draw this table, X conjunction Y. Okay? So if you want to draw this table, the conjunction there use inclusive sense. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Draw the truth table for the inclusive sense. You can see now we are not given statement. But if you are given statement, from the statement you can know as to whether the type of the table that you are asked to draw. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Okay? I'm emphasizing on that because you are going to use it when you get to tautology and contradiction. Okay? So let us proceed to another connective known as conditional or implicative. You understand? Another name for conditional is implicative. When you have two simple statements that are joined together by this word if you have two simple statements that is joined together by this word if, such statement is called connect. This one that you see here is known as connective. Are you get what I'm trying to say? That statement is called conditional statement. Do you understand? So we have a compound statement that is called conditional statement when we have two statements that is joined together by this word if. Now, in conditional statement, one of the statements depends on the other. Please pay attention. Listen to me. Just pay attention. You're going to understand what I'm trying to say. In this particular compound statement, we have two simple statements joined together by this word if. Now, both are connected by this word. One of the statements depends on the other. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Like, let me cite an example. Pastor preaches a lot. Pastor speak a lot. Please pay attention. Pay attention to that statement. Pastor preaches a lot. Pastor speak a lot. Let's say K stands for pastor preach a lot and L stands for pastor speak a lot. Now, if I want to write a conditional statement for that word using this word if, I'm going to have if pastor preach a lot, then pastor speak a lot. You can see now, so one statement depends on the other. You can cite as many examples. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Now, please, I want you to pay attention. You see, the statement, please, the statement that is antecedent is what we call the first statement. You understand? The first statement is the statement that the second statement depends on. It is called antecedent. Antecedent. Let me say it. Antecedent. Antecedent is this. Okay, let's use that example. K represents pastor preach, and L represents pastor speak. Okay, K represents pastor preach and L represents pastor speak. Now, or pastor talk, you can use any example. Pastor, or let's use talk, okay? For a more comprehensive one, pastor talks a lot. Now, looking at these two statements, if I want to write a conditional statement for these two statements, I'm going to have if pastor preach, then pastor talks a lot. Please pay attention. If pastor, okay, this pastor, if pastor preach, then pastor talks a lot. It means if I want to write a symbolic representation of what a logical representation of this sentence is this. Okay? Oh, okay. You understand? This is the logical representation of this statement. You know, this statement that you see, this sign that you see here is known as the if sign. This is the statement that is used, this is the symbol that is used for conditional statement. You know, when I start the conjunction, I told you that it is this symbol for conjunction, and for disjunction, it is this symbol. For connectives, you are going to use this symbol. Do you understand? So, the meaning of this statement is that if pastor preach, you know that K represents pastor preach. If pastor preach, then pastor talks a lot. Now, I want to explain what I'm talking about the other time, which is antecedent. The antecedent of this statement is is pastor preach, and the reason is because pastor talks a lot depends on pastor preach. You understand? So pastor talks a lot is known as the consequence. You understand? The statement, you see, in compound statement, it is formed together by joining two simple statements, right? We have two statements here, pastor preach and pastor talk a lot. Now, the first statement, pastor preach, is connected by a connective known as if. And because it is if, that kind of statement is called conditional statement. Now we are looking at antecedent and consequent. The consequence of a conditional statement is that statement that depends on the other statement. Are you getting it? The statement that depends on the other statement is called consequent. While the statement in which the other statement depends on is called the antecedent. Do you understand? Okay, so having understand what is meant by implicative or conditional statement, let us look at the truth table. Please, I want to pay attention. I want to pay attention in the truth table, especially for this implicative. Another name for conditional statement is known as implicative statement. Are you getting it? So don't be confused. Okay, now it is very important that you note that we only have a conclusion that is false if the first statement is true and the second statement is false. Please pay attention. In drawing the truth table for a conditional statement, we only have a conclusion that is false if the first statement is true and the second statement is false. So that means that if we have a statement, if we have a compound and if we have a complete conditional statement in which the first statement is true and the second statement is true, the conclusion will be what? Will be true. The reason is because you know that I told you in conditional statement, the second statement depends on the first statement. Are you getting it? So if the first statement is true and the second statement is true, the conclusion will be what? True. For example, the previous example that I cited earlier, pastor preach, pastor speaks, or pastor talks a lot. Then I wrote it like if pastor preach, then pastor talks a lot, or then they talk a lot. You know, if you look at that example, well, it is true. There is no way you can preach and you won't be able to communicate. I get what I'm trying to say. So that means the first statement is true, the second statement is true, the conclusion will be what? Will be true. Are you getting it? Now, another example. If the first statement is true and the second statement is false, the conclusion will be false. Okay, let's look at that example, that same example. Pastor preach, pastor talks a lot. Okay, let's say pastor preach. Yes, of course, pastor preach. Pastor doesn't talk a lot. Is that not it? That will be false. Please pay attention. Pay attention. If I want to write the force of pastor talks a lot, it will be what? Pastor doesn't talk a lot. Now, the conclusion will be what? If pastor preach, pastor doesn't talk a lot, the conclusion will be false. You understand? Because the second statement depends on the other, and the subsequent that we have here, I mean the consequence that we have here, which is the false, it doesn't correspond to the true value of the first statement. You understand? So the conclusion will be false. Listen to the explanation again. Anytime you have a conditional statement, what is a conditional statement? A statement connected by this word if or by this sign. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So if you have a conditional statement whereby the first statement is false and the second statement is, the first statement is true and the second statement is false, the conclusion will be false. Do you understand? Okay, let's look at the third one. If you have a statement, listen, if you have a conditional statement whereby the first statement is false and the second is true, the conclusion will be true. And if you have a conditional statement whereby the first statement is true, the first statement is false and the second statement is false, then the conclusion will be true. So please pay attention. The reason why I'm emphasizing on this is because you are going to need you're going to need the knowledge of this to solve problem on tautology and other tautology and other concepts in logic, especially those concepts dealing with the truth table. Are you paying attention? So we only have a conclusion that is false in conditional statements whenever we have the first statement has been true and the second statement has been false. Okay, so this is the truth table for implicative or conditional statements. There are some properties that I want to emphasize on as touching this particular concept. The first property is inverse. The second is converse, and the third is contrapositive. You understand? Contrapositive. I'm going to come back to these three properties at the end of this class. Okay, now, so this is the truth table for implicative or conditional statement. The truth table for conjunction is this, for disjunction is this, for implicative is this. And another important connectives that we are going to talk about in this class is bi-conditional. Okay, bi-conditional or bi-implicative. Bi-conditional. You see, the sign that is used to denote a bi-conditional statement is this, and I'm going to explain. Just pay attention. Okay, the sign that is used to denote bi-conditional statement is this. Now, in bi-conditional statement, we have two simple statements that are connected by if, but we have two if. Listen to me. In the conditional statement we have only one if, right? But in this one we have two if. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? I'm going to explain. You see, in bi-conditional statement, both statements depends on each other. Are you getting it? Listen to the explanation again. Both statements depend on each other. For example, listen. A typical example of bi-conditional statement is this. John speaks English fluently. Are you getting it? And another statement is John was born and raised in England. John speaks English fluently and John was born and raised in England. Pay attention. Let's K represent John speak English fluently. FU. And let's L represent John was born and raised in England. Okay, if I want to write a bi-conditional statement for this, I'm going to have K bi-conditional. This is the sign for bi-conditional. Don't forget A. And the meaning of this is that if John, listen, okay, John speak English, if and only, you see, please pay attention. if and only if John was born and raised in England. You can see, so that is bi-conditional statement for you. John speaks English fluently. John was born and raised in England, another statement. Then we have K, bi-conditional hell will be what? John speak English fluently. Oh, sorry, let me put this fluently. John speak English fluently if and only if John was born and raised in England. Do you understand? So if and only if that you see here is a bi-conditional. You understand? If and only if. Are you getting it now? So when we have a bi-conditional statement, we have two statements depending on each other. Are you getting it? None of them, both of them are dependent on each other. A typical example is what you have on the board, okay? John speaks English fluently. John was born and raised in England, okay? So now let us look at the truth table for a bi-conditional statement. Listen to me carefully. I want you to pay attention here. In a bi-conditional statement, we only have, listen, we only have a conclusion that is true if both statements are true or false. Listen to me. You know, we are dealing with bi-conditional statement, and we said that both of the statements depend on each other, right? We only have a conclusion that is true if both statements are true or false. If one of the statements is true or false, we cannot have a conclusion that is true. We are going to have a conclusion that is false. Do you understand? You see, when I start implicative or conditional statement, we only have a conclusion that is false if the second statement is false. A typical example. Now in bi-conditional statement, we only have a conclusion that is true if both statements are true or both statements are false. We are going to have a conclusion that is true. But if one of the statements is false or true, that means the conclusion will be false. Okay, so let us draw the truth table for a bi-conditional statement. I want you to pay attention. Okay, so let's consider this one that we have on the board. Let us complete the table for this. Okay, let's draw the table for bi-conditional statements. So I'm going to use this table to explain how the truth table for bi-conditional statement look like. So I'm going to use this table to explain how the table, please pay attention, okay? Let me do it. I'm going to use this table to explain how the truth table for a bi-conditional statement look like, okay? So I told you that we only have a conclusion that is true if both statements are true or false, okay? Let's go. For this, I'm going to have, if both statements are true, I'm going to have true here. If one of the statements is false and the other is true, if one of the statements is false and the other is true, we're going to have a conclusion that is false. Do you understand? Please pay attention. If one of the statements is true and the other is false, like if the first statement is true and the other is false, we're going to have a conclusion that is false. Do you understand? And if both statements are false, we're going to have a conclusion that is true. So you can see the truth table for the bi-conditional statement, okay? In conjunction, please pay attention. I want to summarize what we've learned so far. In conjunction, this is the truth table. We have a conclusion that is false if both statements is false. In disjunction, this is the truth table. These are the truth table because we can have inclusive disjunction and exclusive disjunction as explained to you earlier. So this is the truth table for inclusive disjunction. We only have a conclusion that is false if both statements is false. And for exclusive disjunction, we only have a conclusion that is false if both statements are true or both statements are false. We can only have a conclusion that is true if one of the statements is false and the other being true. Do you understand? Okay. In conditional statement or implicative, we only have a conclusion that is false if the first statement is true and the second statement is false. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Why? But the rest will be true. Do you understand? And in bi-conditional, we only have a conclusion that is true if both statements are true or both statements are false. Do you understand? So that is the truth table for conjunction, disjunction, implicative, and bi-conditional. In our next class, I'm going to explain these properties of implicative statement. Okay? And we are going to talk about tautology and other aspects of logic. We're going to look at many examples. Okay, so don't make sure that you don't miss the next class. And before you go, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so that will be all for this class. If you have any question as regarding what we learned here, let me know in the comment section. Okay, see you in the next class.